Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth and I read book as in books. This is the short and sweet tag. It was created by Steve Donoghue on an idea by Britta Bowler. Basically, all you have to do is present a bunch of books that are under 200 pages. I already did a version of this tag, but this time I was properly tagged, and by no less than Sean the Book Maniac. Thank you very much, Sean. I'm very touched. Of course, I will leave links to all the channels I mentioned in the description box below. And the advantage with this sort of tag, where all you have to do is talk about books that you liked, you can present a whole different set of books and have a whole different tag. So that's what I'm doing here. I will not repeat the books that I talked about. If you're curious about that, I will leave a link to my previous video in the description box. But this time I will talk about five books in translation. So none of them were written in English, none of them were written in French. So literature from all over the world, and they were all published in the 20th century. So quite recent literature, though not that recent either. So the first book, for example, was published in 1920, so it's 100 years old. It is The Mother by Grazia Deledda. Deledda won the Nobel Prize in the 1920s. I don't remember the exact date. And in this novel, the main character is not so much the mother as the son. The son is a young priest. He's just out of the seminary, and basically he is in his first posting in a small village in Sardinia. And his mother is accompanying him, his mother who has sacrificed everything so that the son could attend seminary and have a future. And she's very proud of her son, who is a priest. Now, as soon as they arrive in the village, of course, the son meets a young woman who is a young widow, who is also a bit of an outsider in the village, and the priest also is an outsider in the village. It takes time before really becoming the parish priest. So the book is about all of these tensions between the old villagers and the newer ones, between the mother and the son, between the mother and the woman, and it's about life in a village in Sardinia. Very interesting, very good. And it was written in Italian, so it's a translation from the Italian. The other one is probably one that you know. It is All Quiet on the Western Front by Erich Maria Remarque. It is translated from the German. This is one book that, one of the first one to expose the uselessness of war, the utter waste of life that was World War I. It's not necessarily one of the first, but it's one that made the most impact. This one is from the German side. I don't know how in English, but in French, most of the books that had been about World War I had been written from the Allied side. So either from French soldiers or from English soldiers. So this was one of the first one that showed the perspective on the other side, and it turns out that the other side was just exactly as our side. It was just as ugly, just as useless, and just as horrible. And of course, this book was banned by Hitler because it showed some sort of defeatist aspect. You couldn't say that Germany fought for nothing during World War I. You could say that you were stabbed in the back, you could say that you were about to win it, but you couldn't say that it was useless and that basically it was just a waste of life. So this is a book, classic book about war and what it is to face fire every day for I don't know how many days. And it's about, it's a powerful book about peace in a way. It's un plaidoyer pour la paix. It's pleading for peace. There we go. And then the next one was published in 1963, and we're now in Japan. The title in English of this one is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, and it is by Yukio Mishima. Now, Mishima is much of a Marmite author, to use a British expression. You love him or you hate him. The first time I read him was another book, but it was in college. It was mandatory reading, and I loved it. But most of my friends hated it, and they thought I was crazy for reading something else by him. But I did read something else by him, including this book, which is under 200 pages. So in this one, the main character is in his teenage years, I think 13, 14 years old. And his mother, who is a widow, is in a relationship with another man. And this man is a sailor. And at first, the young man and his friends love this man. They admire him. They think, wow, a sailor, he's a tough guy. And then they realize he's just a nice guy. He's just an average guy, an ordinary guy. He's not, he's just a nice man. And for some reason, the young man does not like that. For him, his idea of masculinity is not to be nice. So this is what this book is about. It's about family relationships, but also about the idea of masculinity. And that is a theme that is often examined by Mishima, because himself, I think, had problems with it. He was gay and had difficulty accepting that, or perhaps society back then had difficulty accepting that. And also he had difficulty finding his place in post-war Japan, and he ended up committing suicide in the traditional ritual way of seppuku. So yes, a lot of the obsessions, if I can say that, of Mishima are in this book too. Not as much as in Confessions of a Mask, which is almost autobiographical, but they find their way in this book too. So yeah, this one in post-war Japan, it's interesting. Okay, the other one, I'm not sure. I found a title in English for that one. The title in English would be The Chronicle of Mr Han. And it is written by, I'm going to read it just to be sure, Hwang Sok-Yong from Korea. Now I say that's the title I found. I'm not sure if the English translation exists, because I found the title, but I did not see covers of the book. I did not see the book. So I don't know if it's just a translation of the title. I don't know where this title comes from. I hope the book exists, because I really like this one. I know it exists in English, not in English, in German, in Dutch, in Spanish, in Arabic. It's been translated in many languages, so I really hope there is an English language somewhere, an English language version somewhere. So this book was published in 1970, and it is set in post-war Korea, so after the Korean War, where the country is divided. And it's about this man who, even though he is in his own country, feels like an outcast because his family is from the north and he knows nobody in the south. And if I remember correctly, the book opens when the man dies and the neighbors realize they don't know him, they don't know who he is. And the reason is that if he knows nobody, it's because he was an outcast all of his life, because he came from the north. So this is about the tensions in Korea between northerners and southerners after the war. It's about, it's about the ravages of civil war. Not necessarily the war itself, but the consequences on the psyche of the people having to survive war, to survive separation, and having to build a new life afterwards. So I really hope it's translated in English. If it's not, I hope somebody who's listening can do something about it. I don't know. And the last one, it will not be Sean the Book Maniac's favorite, but I want to mention it anyway. It is Who Killed Palomino, Molero by Mario Vargas Llosa. There's a bit of a mystery in it, and I know that Sean hates mysteries. But it's not all about a mystery, because we know quite quick who killed Palomino Molero. So we are in a small town in Peru, and near this small town is an army base. So that's it. I think you already know what happened. With just me saying that, it gives everything away. And it is more about the tensions between the people on the base and the people in the small town, the ordinary people who have basically no money and no power, and the people on the base who have not necessarily a lot of money, but definitely a lot of power. So it is more about these society tensions than it is about the mystery. So this is, I think, a good introduction to Mario Vargas Llosa if you've never read him. It's very accessible and it's short, like all the other books I mentioned. So that is it. These are the 5 books I wanted to talk about in this short and sweet book tag. I'm going to tag some people. Last time I did not, because I had just picked up the tag by myself, but this time I was tagged, so I am going to tag some people. I'm going to tag Greg at A Bibliophile Reads. I'm going to tag Nikki at Red Dot Reads. And I'm going to tag Marilyn Maya Mendoza. So of course, you don't have to do the tag. It's just an invitation. Just talk about a few short books that you read, and that's that. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine!